Well, hi, good morning. It's Imogen here, and I'm with my guest, my very good friend and client, trauma awareness activist Shay Seaborne. And we're resuming our conversations we had, I think, six kind of in the middle of last year, that addressed different sides of uh, talking about stress and trauma and Alexander technique and my particular body intelligence approach and how in various ways it's helped Shay and making connections to neuroscience and basically getting excited about all sorts of concepts and ideas. So we're back to continue those. And today we're going to talk about what we're calling, or what Shay has termed, the turnaround, which is, well, I think I will ask Shay. Shay, welcome. And we're going to talk about this thing called the turnaround that we're using with, or you're using in particular with some stressful triggers in your life. But why don't you kind of tell us what this is about? What is the turnaround?
It's a brilliant idea from my friend Imogen to help me come back to ease after a startle. I have hypervigilance, of course, from PTSD. That's really what all the symptoms are, signs of hypervigilance. And that includes hyperacusis, exaggerated startle reflex, and audiosomatic synesthesia. So when
yes, could you put that in layman's terms?
When something goes bang, I go ow.
Yeah, but it's not even going bang, right? What I understand is most people will startle if an unexpected, an unexpected loud noise, but it's much more than that.
Yeah, with the hyperactivity in the auditory and the somatic processing part of my brain, I actually feel sounds in my body, and it's often very unpleasant. Something as small as the tick of the ductwork when the air conditioner comes on is enough to feel like an electric shock in my system. And you can imagine it feels like, constant assault when the heat system's on, the air conditioning, cars going by. I mean, everyday sounds just set my nervous system off and put me in flight, fight, or freeze mode.
Yeah. So that sounds awful. And I'm just imagining being constantly startled kind of maybe gives me a little bit of an idea of what that's like for you, but it's even more than that, because when I'm startled, it's not exactly, I mean, there obviously is a physical response, but it's not exactly the internal pain or experience that you're describing, I don't think. So how has this turnaround thing helped you, I guess, manage, or maybe that's not quite the right word, but helped you with this in some way?
Well, I can't say it's magic, but it's almost. Well, it lines up with the neuroscience of like extinguishing fear. So the idea that you gave me was whenever I have that, when the refrigerator makes that little tiny tick that sets me off, instead of going, oh God, I just I can't feel it, to actually use that as an opportunity to notice ease, to come back to safety and connection, or at least safety. So I started doing that, and it's a known fact that when you focus on the anxiety of your anxiety, then the anxiety of the anxiety becomes worse. Yeah. So this neutralized that, and it's had a big part in down regulating those parts of my brain. I still have it some, but because I've been working so hard to regulate my nervous system on many fronts, because I'm less hypervigilant, that those symptoms are down. But every time that it does happen, I just immediately go, oh yeah, I'm okay. And then that passes instead of, becoming set in my nervous system.
So when you said it was a chance to come back to ease, or you used the phrase "I'm okay" then, but there's also, but there's a specific, I guess, skill in a way that you've learned over time working with me that meant you had practiced noticing ease in other situations that are less loaded.
Yes, that's really the key. Excuse me. The practice. It's kind of like muscle memory. If you keep practicing to hit the tennis ball right, then when you actually play, you're going to hit it right just out of practice.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. You can't just say, oh, like if you just gave this tip to somebody, they may or may not benefit from it, but they're not going to benefit from it to the same level that I have because of the 3 years of practice, noticing ease and orienting my nervous system toward it.
Yes, and we practiced pausing, which I'm thinking is a particular thing that's important with this. It's not just noticing ease or telling yourself that I'm okay. You have paused and interrupted the startle response. It doesn't mean you're saying that didn't happen, and it's not even knowing what the pausing will do.
Yeah. That's a very important point. Neurologically, it's disrupting the distress cycle. And that's exactly what you want to do when you have any kind of distress, is disrupt that cycle. Even for a split second is helping to fire the neurons that will wire together to make you less in that cycle in the future.
So I'm trying to think about other applications to this. And I do think the idea is accessible, and it's important for people to know it might not seem very easy if you haven't practiced in the way that Shay has done. But what are kind of some other places that people could maybe use this idea? I know we've talked about some different ideas.
I think that pretty much any time that you notice that you're stressed, which, is a skill of itself, and definitely Alexander Technique practice and classes ongoing have really helped me hone that ability. It's the best thing I've done for myself, learning how to be in my body and recognize what it's, telling me, what the signals are, and what my body needs me to do to take care of myself, which is often not what I think or want.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that it can be really useful when you recognize that your thoughts are spinning in a stressful cycle, so to speak. Yeah. And it's not to say that whatever they're about is not challenging and stressful or even traumatic. It's what we were saying before. It's a moment of disrupting that effect, on interrupting the effect that is having on our nervous system, and kind of giving it even a moment to regroup a little bit, so to speak.
Our nervous systems scan the environment for danger 30 times a second. So if you disrupt that cycle for 1 second, that's 30 times that your body's not getting the signal that danger is happening. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. And when we feel safe, I mean, a hallmark of the Alexander Technique is like from looking at someone physically, is that they will appear more open and expansive, coordinate well, move with more freedom and ease. And that definitely, those sorts of patterns and nonverbals are associated with feeling safe.
And able to connect with other people, cooperative. able to make good decisions. Yes, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, a trauma expert, said you can't change the body without changing the brain, and you can't change the brain without changing the body. And that's exactly what you're talking about, that when you do these things to the body, that automatically changes how you live.
Well, I do call my work body intelligence, because it's and in Alexander technique, we don't even talk about mind-body connection. It's mind-body unity. It's an experience that happens in our whole self. So what we think and what we feel is totally, words are so hard, because I was going to say totally related to our physical experience, but it's more than related. It's part of it. So it's all part of the whole. Yeah,
I didn't know that, and that really pleases me, because well, obviously it gives me one more thing to love about Alexander technique.
I'm sure I told you at some point. Anything else we want to say about this turnaround? I'm thinking that if people can think of something in their life that maybe they know that they startle when the phone rings, or something. I'm just thinking out of the top of my head, or you notice that you're having a thought that causes you to feel tense and stressed quite often. Yet you haven't kind of practiced this method that we're talking about. I still think there's value in having a pause. That in itself is a moment of interrupting the stress response, right? Anything else you would suggest for that pause? Or
well, I don't know how this would work for others, but certainly some probably. I like to have a phrase that I use to just remind myself, and I've experimented with a bunch of different ones, like in our class and study group, to see which ones are the best for me. And it's okay now is really potent for me, because it is assuring, but it's not telling me that I can't have my distress, and I can't have my illness, and I can't feel bad. It's just in this split second when I'm saying it's okay now, it is okay now, whatever it is, there's something that's okay. And that really helps assure and calm my nervous system. But other people, that it might, be too much for them, and maybe just, okay, or
if it seems totally unbelievable, it might actually stress you more, right?
Yeah. When I first started doing the interoception stuff, the idea of, everything's okay in this moment was absolutely false to me, because my nervous system was so dysregulated, nothing was okay.
So the phrase that we use in my work, the most common one, that is, I am free to notice ease. And there's a lot of things that are built into the structure and the words of that sentence that help it be more gentle. It's not a have to. It's got some choice about it. It's sort of like you're saying, I'm free to notice ease. That also means I'm free to not notice anything, which strangely makes it more powerful, I think.
I agree. And that's one of the things I love about Alexander technique, and that thought in particular. It's such a great foundational constructive thought, because like you said, it's got the freedom, but it has this very gentle suggestion. I remember our first visit in person, and you said, I'm free to notice ease. And I was like, I don't have any ease.
I think I was being, and that first sort of exploration and visit, I was inviting you to notice if there were any places in your body that felt, I think I was even using the word okay. I wasn't even trying to go to ease, but didn't feel too bad. And I think you said nowhere, only a bit up
There
here,
was
but
one spot
nowhere
right
below.
here.
Yeah, yeah. And yet you were able to access
Yeah, even that one
quite a bit more than you thought. Yes.
well, yeah, even that first one spot was, kind of a revolution right there, that I could have one, molecule of ease in a body that's been, so traumatized for so long. It was pretty magnificent. And now, because of the practice and the ongoing classes and study, and I love the study because we get into this in-depth stuff that really just enriches my whole experience. Because of that, something good happened. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Well, because of that, I think you've really been able to incorporate it into more and more aspects of your life, which has included this very disruptive trigger.
Yeah, and that it really is practically a miracle how much that that is reduced by bringing down my hypervigilance, calming my nervous system, and Alexander technique, as you know, has been a big part of that. That's part of my daily, like, not moment to moment, but frequent. Like every hour, I have some Alexander technique going on because I've incorporated it in my life. Yeah, I was just thinking a year ago, I, was crying about how terrible the sound issue is. And now I'm like, yeah, when that happens, it means I'm getting dysregulated. I'm, at the top of my window of tolerance, and I need to calm myself down. So I actually kind of took, your idea of notice and pause to, okay, that means, that's now it's like a biomarker that means I need my systems to activate it, and I need to bring it down. And of course,
and you have some tools to help you a little bit. So.
A little bit, yeah. A lot, yes.
Okay. Well, I think there's power in a little bit, and I think often people, like we were saying, it might not feel much the first time you do it, to just pause when something stresses you or startles you, but there's power in those little bits.
Yes, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because in my explorations of neurobiology and recovery from PTSD, I've noticed that it's the little frequent tiny bits, like a drip infusion, that really make the difference over time. It's like an investment. You just keep putting it in there, and then all of a sudden you look and it's added up, and the refrigerator isn't triggering you anymore. Better.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Honestly, I'm so thrilled about everything you're learning and discovering, and how it's been so helpful to you. So
thank you. I can't thank you enough for being my instructor and friend. You just bring so much to my life on multiple levels, and I don't know what I'd do without having Alexander technique via you in my life. It really has.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's very rewarding for both of us. Let's put it like that. So, I just wanted to mention that anyone who joins my mailing list gets a 7 simple tips to reduce stress now. And these are and the now is important, because they are just little ways that you could pause in a moment to calm your nervous system, basically. So anyone who wants to sign up there, that would be a way to start getting a little bit of the idea more about how you could incorporate some of this into your life. Anything else? We were talking about our next conversation, and I've written down as a possible topic the value of interoception. So
one of my favorite topics.
Yes, and we'll leave you with that. hopefully a little teaser, and you will also learn if you don't know what interoception is. So yeah, thank you so much, Shay. This was really fun, and I'm really glad that we're doing these conversations again.
Thank you, Imogen. It's a pleasure as always.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.